Hello and welcome to the Slackware ARM vlog. If you're new to the channel, Slackware Linux is the oldest actively maintained Linux distribution in the world. It's been going for over 3 decades at this point. And in this channel we talk about the ARM port of that, so that's Slackware running on the ARM architecture. And that's been going for about 22 years at this point. And in this channel we cover the sort of behind the scenes development of building Slackware on the ARM platform, and occasionally we'll chat to some other people as well. Now in this episode, I'm going to show you how to install Slackware ARM64, which is the 64-bit version of the Slackware ARM project, onto the Raspberry Pi. Now this covers the Raspberry Pi 3, 4 and 5, and it would probably also cover the Raspberry Pi 6 when that's released as well. Now, some of you on the Linux Questions Forum, which is the official Slackware ARM user community forum, asked whether it was possible to install Slackware entirely onto storage such as NVMe or SSD or whatever. Because the way that we'd initially presented it was that you would download the Slackware installer image to an SD card, boot it and install it. And as part of the installation process, the installer would convert the SD card, or would basically couple the SD card to the OS. So that basically you had the SD card that you'd originally used for the installer became embedded into the OS. So the SD card was constantly, or rather the SD card slot was constantly occupied by the SD card. And so the reason for that was because it provides maximum compatibility with all hardware models, and it's the easiest way of doing it. The problem with that, of course, is that your SD card slot is perpetually occupied. So in this episode, I'll show you some of the development that I've recently completed that allows you to very easily decouple from the SD card, and you can free up the slot, and your system will be entirely installed onto whatever storage you're using. In this case, we'll be using an SSD over a USB to SATA adapter, but it would work on NVMe or anything really. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, so the first thing to do is to visit the Slackware ARM website and head over to the installation documentation. So into your favorite search engine, type Slackware ARM official, and you'll find the Slackware ARM website. It's arm.slackware.com. Click on that. Then if you look on the left-hand side, you'll see there is a link for installation guides. Click on it. At the moment, there isn't a release of the 64-bit version of Slackware ARM, or ARM64 as it's called. So we'll use the development branch, which is called current. Click on that. Scroll down to the Raspberry Pi row in the table and click on instructions. Now, if you look here, there's a lot of text here. It's quite long, but that's really because it has screenshots. There's not actually that much text, it's mostly screenshots. So if you have a fear of documentation, don't worry, it's actually pretty straightforward, and I'll show you how to do it in a video. It's really, really simple. If you have any questions or any trouble during installation or post-installation, just go back to the Slackware ARM website, and then under the community section here, just click on forum, and that will take you into the Slackware ARM forum. You'll have to sign up in order to post a question, but pretty straightforward. And just ask on there and we'll see what we can do to help. So back to the guide. What I suggest you do is read through the guide, make sure you've got everything you need, and then follow the instructions to download the Slackware assets and write the installer to an SD card. And then once you're done, return to the instructions and follow them to install Slackware. Everything is fully documented, but again, if you have any questions or you can't figure something out, just ask us on the forum. Now I've already written my Slackware installer image to my micro SD card here. So I'm going to remove that, and on here is my Slackware installer, so we're ready to go. Okay, so this is my Raspberry Pi 5. This is the 16GB RAM model. Normally I have an NVMe here, but I've removed it to show you guys this stuff. So what we're going to be installing on today is an SSD that's connected via a USB to SATA converter. And of course, when you connect these things, make sure that you connect your storage to the blue coloured USB 3 ports, because those are faster than the black ones, and you want your storage to be on the fastest as possible. You can see that I have plugged a USB connector in here. That's the connector for the keyboard, the remote keyboard here. So obviously that can go on USB too, because we don't need fast speeds for keyboards. Okay, there we go. And then we need to insert our micro SD card that contains the Slackware installer, pin side up into the slot, and just gently push it in. Okay, and then we'll turn it on. But just so you note, I don't have a network. I don't have any network plugged in here. The Slackware installer doesn't have Wi-Fi. So all of this installation is completely offline. It's all self-contained. All of the Slackware packages are contained on the micro SD card. Press the power button and we can now watch it boot. The installer will pause at this point, at least on my setup, just because it's trying to obtain an IP address over the network. But as you saw, I don't have a Ethernet cable plugged in. It's disconnected from the network. So this just needs to time out. And this takes about maybe 40-50 seconds, something like that. So the installer is now ready for us to begin. So as you can see on the screen, it just says press enter to activate the console. So do that. And the first thing it will do is ask you to select a key map. Now, because I don't have a US key map, the US is the default, I have a UK key map on this one. So I'm just going to press enter and scroll down to the UK option and press enter again. Then it asks you to confirm it by entering the number 1, so just do that. We are now ready to begin. So for this installation, we're going to be installing the entire OS onto the SSD drive. In order to do that, we need to create a fat partition on the SSD drive, and that will contain the Raspberry Pi's native bootloader assets and also the Linux kernel, the operating system initial RAM disk, DTBs, and all the other Linux stuff as well. There's a really easy way of doing that. I've included a tool to do it for you. So in the /tools directory in the root of the installer, there are a bunch of different tools. Now in this case, we're going to be using the RPI partition bootware script. This is also documented in the installation guide just here. So it says here choice of boot media, and you can read that and you can see the name of the tool there. So just run this tool. Now this menu will be populated with the block storage devices that the tool has found. In this case, it's just one, and that is the SSD. Now just be very careful if you have multiple storage devices here. And I do suggest that if you have any other storage devices that aren't relevant at this point in the installation, you know, storage devices that contain your data, for example, you should probably disconnect those. You can connect those once the OS is installed. It's just safer that way. But in this case, it's really simple because it's just one. Press the spacebar to select the storage that you'll be using for the OS. Press enter. If there's any existing partitions on there, it will show you those, and press enter. Now, just to be extra safe, it's informing you that it's going to wipe everything off the disk, and this cannot be undone. So if you're absolutely certain, then move the arrow key and select yes. If you now have a look, do fdisk-L, you'll see that we've got the SD card here, which is MMC Bluck 0. Just so you know, this is the FAT32 partition that contains the bootware assets, so the bootloader assets, Linux kernel, all that stuff that allows us to boot the installer initially. And this partition here on the SD card, this contains the Slackware packages that we're going to install. This is the SSD drive that I showed you previously that's connected via the USB to SATA converter. Now, if we return to the installation guide, you'll see here what we need to do. So you run, in this case, it is /dev/SDA. So we run fdisk against that, and we're going to create our partitions. In this case, it's slightly different because we already have this partition here that tool has just created for us. So let's open it in fdisk. If you type in P to print the current partition table, there's that partition that's been created for us. So we just need to create the new partitions. So we'll create first the swap. Again, refer to the documentation to do this. And I'm going to make a 4 gig swap partition. Okay, type to swap. And then I'll finally create the last partition. Yes. Okay. So you can see here, in this case, because this disk, this SSD drive has been used for other stuff, it has some other signatures on it. It's fine. If your disk is completely blank, then it won't say any of this stuff. But again, mine was being previously used for something else. So I just say yes and accept and overwrite everything. Okay, so we've got our FAT32 partition that will contain the bootware assets. We've got the Linux swap, and we have just one partition to contain the OS and all the data that we have. This is the easiest, most straightforward partition layout that you can use. So you just press W to write, and then we run the setup tool. Okay, so first thing, add swap, like that. In this case, we only have one block storage device to choose from, which is the SSD on SDA. So select that, we'll format it as ext4, but you can pick a different file system if you wish. The installer is now telling us that it's found a bootware file system on /dev/sda1. That is the FAT32 partition that was created to contain the bootware that allows us to decouple from the SD card. But this is important. You need to leave the SD card in the slot until the Slackware installation is completely finished. So just press enter, and it will now deactivate the SD card so that it won't be bootable again. Okay, press enter. In this case, we'll say no, because we're going to switch over to the Raspberry Pi kernel fork. That's all in the documentation. Press no. This is just telling us that it's been able to locate all of the Slackware packages on the SD card. Do you want to install from that? Well, I certainly do. So press enter. We're going to install everything because that satisfies the dependencies, and it's the easiest way of doing it. So this will now install, and we'll leave it to it. If you're short of things to do whilst it installs, you can play the inbuilt game. On your keyboard, hold down the Alt key and press the left arrow key. Keep doing that until you come across a console that says this. Then press enter, and then type in BrickTick. The game is pretty straightforward to play. Just read the instructions on the screen, press space to start, press L to launch, and then move the baton at the bottom with the cursors. And the aim is to clear all of the blocks above, and you collect the power-ups as you do so. And that's it. And then when you're finished, you can either press escape to exit the game. Again, press Alt and just cycle through until you reach the console where the installer is running. Okay, so the installation is complete. All of the packages have installed. And now we just need to run through the post-installation phase. It's providing us now a choice of kernel. I'm not going to get into that here. You can read the installation guide. At the moment, I recommend using the Raspberry Pi vendor fork kernel, particularly if you want to use this box as a desktop machine or multimedia machine or something like that, purely because the mainline Linux kernel, the official Linus Torvalds kernel, doesn't yet have all of the support required to do that. So we'll just say yes here. In the future that will change, and we'll just be able to use the mainline kernel. And now this will transition us from the mainline Linus Torvalds official kernel over to the Raspberry Pi vendor fork kernel, as we call it. So now we get to pick the mouse. We'll pick a USB connected mouse, and we'll load GPM, which is a mouse driver for the virtual console. Yes, I'd love to configure my network. It's going to be called Cabin, and it will live on example.com. For this video, we don't need to do anything complex with networking. Pick Network Manager, it's the easiest option. Yes, we're good. Okay, then we need to configure the services to start at boot time. For me, I always pick RPC, and that's just because I use the NFS client. But you don't have to select anything here if you don't wish, but have a look. Screen fonts, yes, I will. I'm going to pick the TER732B. But as you'll see in the install guide here, if you've got a 4K monitor or TV, you should probably pick the TER932B, because then you can easily read the text on the screen. Otherwise, it's pretty difficult. I don't have a 4K monitor on this box, so I'm just going to pick this one. Okay, we accept that choice. No, I'm going to choose my local time. So I'm just going to scroll down to London. I'll pick Vim. I'm okay with Vim. We can use KDE. Okay, we'll set ourselves a root password and then press OK. Go to exit like this. The default is to reboot the machine, but we're going to select power off on this occasion because we're going to remove physically the SD card from the slot. So if you just pick power off there. Okay, so let's press enter. And the machine will now power off. So the light is red, and we just need to remove the SD card. Done. Okay, so now with the SD card removed, we can just press the power button and watch it boot. There we go. And it's booting with the Raspberry Pi kernel fork, hence the Raspberry icons there. Okay. Pretty fast, right? I've not edited this whatsoever. This is the speed that the machine boots at. It's pretty good, I have to say. Okay, and then we just add ourselves a pleb user. So let's do that. Okay, so there's a couple of options here. You can either log out of root by just typing exit, log out, or pressing Control and D. Or you can do what I tend to do, which is just switch to another virtual console. On the keyboard, hold down Alt and just press the left arrow key. And then you'll see a login prompt on the console. So log in with your new pleb account. Okay, and then in my case, I want to start X, so let's start X. And KDE will boot. It'll take slightly longer than usual because it's the first boot. If you wish, you can consult the install guide. Actually, that didn't take long, did it? If you wish, you can configure Slackware to boot directly into the graphical user interface, in which case it will provide you with a graphical login prompt rather than the textual version. But there we go. There's KDE. If you return to the installation guide, scroll down to the foot of the document, you'll see this section here, Managing Slackware on the Raspberry Pi. This section explains how you can work with the OS once you've installed it. The first thing you want to do is to update the OS to apply any new patches, new packages, and so on. And you can do that using Slack package. Just click on the link here and it will walk you through how to set this up and how to use it as well. I won't do that in this video, but it's very straightforward. And there's some other information here about if you wish to modify the operating system initial RAM disk by changing any of the kernel modules or the config. And then also managing the Raspberry Pi firmware and bootware. We take care of that in Slackware, and you can follow the process here to do it. So now you know how to install Slackware and have it completely self-contained on the block storage and decouple it from the SD card. Thanks again if you support the project, because the project survives through your donations. So if you want to help out with the project, then you can see what the options are at the URL below. And until then, I'll see you in the next one. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.